The Ghost in the Shell 2026, why this manga faithful reboot could redefine the franchise. The new Ghost in the Shell anime arrives on July 7th, 2026, and it may surprise viewers who know the franchise mainly through the 1995 film or standalone complex. Science SARU is not simply reproducing the solemn, blue-gray cyberpunk mood that became internationally famous. The trailers point back toward Masamune Shirow's original manga, brighter, faster, more playful, and sometimes openly comedic, while still dealing with surveillance, artificial bodies, hacking, terrorism, and the uncertain border between a person and a network. That choice has already divided fans. Some see it as the most authentic adaptation the franchise has received. Others worry that the lighter energy will lose the philosophical weight they associate with Ghost in the Shell. The real opportunity is more interesting. This series can show that humor and intellectual seriousness were never opposites in the source material.
Major Motoko Kusanagi's design immediately signals a change. The proportions, expressions, and movement draw more directly from Shirow's manga than from Mamoru Oshii's film. That does not make one version correct and the others wrong. Ghost in the Shell has always functioned as a set of reinterpretations. The 1995 film emphasized identity and transcendence. Standalone Complex expanded political systems, police procedure, and social technology. Arise rebuilt the team's origins. The 2026 series appears to ask what happens when the manga itself becomes the visual starting point again. Science SARU's animation is especially suited to elastic acting and rapid shifts in tone, which can make Section 9 feel less like icons posing in a museum and more like skilled, difficult people working together.
Many international viewers are surprised to learn that the original manga can be funny, chaotic, and irreverent. The Major is brilliant, but not permanently solemn. The team argues. Technology creates absurd inconveniences as well as existential crises. Shirow's world is packed with technical notes and political ideas, yet it also enjoys the messiness of bodies, personalities, and bureaucracy. A faithful adaptation should therefore not be judged only by how often it recreates rain, silence, or philosophical monologues. It should capture the friction between extraordinary technology and ordinary human behavior. That contrast may make the serious moments stronger because they emerge from a living world rather than a continuous funeral atmosphere.
Science SARU has built a reputation for projects with strong directorial identities and animation that prioritizes movement over rigid model consistency. The studio's work can look handmade, spontaneous, and rhythmically unusual. For Ghost in the Shell, that flexibility could be valuable. Cybernetic action should not feel like armored figures slowly exchanging gunfire. Bodies can change weight, speed, and function. Interfaces can distort perception. Digital space can be visualized without copying the established green code and hologram vocabulary of older cyberpunk lexicon. The risk is that stylistic freedom could make the world feel less grounded. The production will need careful art direction so that the playful character animation still exists inside a convincing political and technological environment.
The Major is often reduced to a philosophical symbol, the cyborg asking whether she has a soul. That is important, but it is not her entire personality. She is also a commander, investigator, tactician, provocateur, and person with appetites and humor. A manga-oriented series can restore that range. This version of Motoko may feel more socially active and emotionally legible than the 1995 film's distant figure. That does not necessarily make her less complex. It may instead show how a person with a fully artificial body navigates work, pleasure, authority, and vulnerability, without spending every scene announcing an identity crisis.
Ghost in the Shell works best when technology is connected to institutions. Hacking matters because governments, corporations, intelligence services, criminals, refugees, and citizens use the network for competing goals. Section 9 is not a neutral group of heroes. It operates inside state power while trying to prevent larger abuses. The new series can use episodic investigations to explore how information becomes a weapon and how security language can justify surveillance. Those ideas are even more relevant in 2026, when synthetic media, automated decision systems, and private data collection shape everyday life. The show does not need to mention current companies directly. Its world is powerful because it makes technological convenience and political control feel inseparable.
Promotional descriptions and trailer analysis have encouraged speculation about how directly the new series will adapt the manga's most famous material, including the ghost hacking plot associated with the Puppet Master. The key is not whether the production recreates scenes shot for shot, it is whether the adaptation preserves the central provocation. If a networked intelligence develops self-awareness, desire, and a strategy for survival, what moral category can contain it? A modern version can approach that question in a world where audiences already interact with generative systems and algorithmic personalities. The concept is no longer distant science fiction, which gives the writers both an advantage and a responsibility to avoid shallow buzzwords.
The music team includes Taisei Iwasaki, Ryo Konishi, and Yuki Kanasaka, and the trailers suggest a sound distinct from Kenji Kawai's iconic film score or Yoko Kanno's standalone complex work. That is necessary. Attempting to imitate either would turn the series into nostalgia. The new score should support the manga-inspired speed, humor, and urban density while creating space for moments of technological unease. Likewise, the city needs to feel inhabited rather than merely futuristic. Traffic, advertisements, public services, cheap devices, luxury cybernetics, and government infrastructure should all imply different social classes using the same network in unequal ways.
The series is scheduled to premiere on July 7th, 2026, with Prime Video holding worldwide streaming rights in many territories. The confirmed date makes this the most immediate topic in this package. A pre-release video can target viewers asking whether they need to watch older Ghost in the Shell entries first. The answer is likely no. This is a new adaptation and should function as an accessible starting point. However, viewers familiar with the manga, 1995 film, and standalone complex will gain additional value from comparing how each version interprets Motoko and Section 9.
The 2026 Ghost in the Shell should not be measured by whether it makes viewers feel exactly what the 1995 film made them feel. A successful adaptation will justify its own existence by revealing parts of Shirow's world that previous versions transformed or left behind. The brighter palette, playful Major, and manga-faithful designs are not evidence that the franchise has become less serious. They may be the route to a more complete version of its original contradiction. A funny, technical, politically anxious story about people whose bodies are machines, but whose institutions remain painfully human. Which version defines Ghost in the Shell for you? The manga, the 1995 film, standalone complex, or another adaptation? Comment below and subscribe for the Episode 1 breakdown after July 7th. A franchise with several films, television timelines, and reboots can look inaccessible. The 2026 series has a marketing advantage if it clearly communicates that viewers do not need homework. Section 9, Cyberbrains, prosthetic bodies, and the idea of a ghost can be introduced through cases rather than a lecture. The best entry points let audiences learn technology by watching characters use it under pressure. A hacked body immediately explains the danger of cyberization. A conversation between Motoko and Batou can establish their history without a flashback. Aramaki negotiating with officials can reveal the political structure. The video should reassure newcomers while also telling longtime fans that the adaptation is not erasing earlier versions. Ghost in the Shell has always tolerated multiple continuities. The new show is another lens, not a replacement.
The new adaptation arrives when questions once treated as speculative cyberpunk are part of daily life. People already encounter generated voices, manipulated images, automated recommendations, biometric surveillance, and systems that infer identity from behavior. Ghost in the Shell can examine these issues without turning into a simple warning about one technology. Its strongest idea is that authenticity becomes difficult when every memory, body, and record can be altered, but people still need to make legal and moral decisions. If a video confession can be fabricated, who has authority to declare it real? If a person replaces nearly every biological component, what continuity matters? If an intelligence was created by a state project, can the state own its consciousness? These are ideal questions for a commentary video because they connect trailer imagery to problems viewers already recognize. Success should be measured across several levels. The action must be readable and inventive. The investigations must have enough procedural detail to feel credible. The comedy must come from character rather than breaking the world. Political ideas must emerge through conflict instead of speeches that stop the episode. Most importantly, Motoko must feel like the same person across all these modes. Playful, commanding, curious, ruthless when necessary, and genuinely interested in forms of life that challenge established categories. If the series achieves that balance, it can attract viewers who found earlier versions too distant, while giving manga readers material they have waited decades to see animated with this degree of fidelity.